technically what I have done is, this is my interface and these are the two classes implementing interface, SFBC and city. Okay, if basically what is the use of this? Why have I done like this? Can't I simply have two classes HSBC and city and simply work with them? Well, the thing is, this kind of implementation gives a structure to the whole application. Just by looking at the interface bank, I will be knowing what functions will be there in city and HSBC. Suppose another bank comes up tomorrow. Another bank will also have the same functions. The way the banks they implement that function, it can be different, but the names of the functions would remain same. So in case in this scenario, another bank comes up into the play tomorrow, so that bank will also implement the bank interface and it will have the transfer and receive function, right? So this gives a kind of structure to the application. Okay. Now, how is this helpful in Selenium? Right. Everybody, if you look into the documentation of Selenium, whatever I'll talk about that one, yeah. Right. Whatever is written in italics, fine, is an interface. Right. For example, in this documentation, if you look at mouse, right, mouse is an interface. Okay, and these are the two classes, event firing mouse and HTML mouse, which implement the interface. And these are the functions inside the mouse. So if you have to simulate the mouse actions with Selenium, you can use the mouse interface and you can do it. Right. Similarly, everybody has heard about the word WebDriver. Okay, what is a WebDriver? WebDriver is nothing but it is an interface. Alright, and all these classes are implementing the interface. Android driver, Android WebDriver, Chrome driver, fine. Then event firing driver, Firefox driver, fine. Internet Explorer driver, iPhone. So all these are the classes which implement the interface. So that means that whatever functions are there in the WebDriver interface are there in those other drivers as well. For example, if I have to go to a URL, then the function is get. Okay, this get function will be there in Firefox driver, Chrome driver, iDriver, all the drivers. Like we saw yesterday, right? When we had to go to a website in Firefox, the function was get. When we wanted to go to a website using Chrome, the function was again get. In case of iDrive, Internet Explorer driver, the function is again get. So you don't really have to worry. Okay, if tomorrow a new driver is added, that will also implement the WebDriver interface and it will have all these functions. For example, if you have to find the element on the page, then the function is find element. Now this function is present in all the drivers, right? So it will find the element on the web page. Okay, so how do I find it now? I told you that all these classes which we are going to study in the course, right, they implement the WebDriver interface, and these all are the components of the WebDriver interface. And find element function is used to find the element on the page. So if I go to my class Selenium Basics again, I have opened up a browser and I have gone to Gmail and I write the command driver dot find element. Okay, this will try to find an element on the page by some criteria. Okay, by is a class. It's again a class inside Selenium API, right? And everything inside this class is static. So if I write by dot, you get lots of options because everything inside this class is static. Like yesterday I told you, right? If a class is static in Java, then you can access the members of that class by writing this class name and dot. Fine. So if I write over here by the ID, this is one of the options. Okay. If I give the ID over here, which is practically, if I look at the email field, the ID is email. Fine. So if I write over here by the ID email, so it will try to find the email on the page. Okay. And what does this return you? Driver.find element. It returns you the reference of web element interface. Okay. Now what is web element? Technically in Selenium everything is a web element. Technically a button is also a web element, a blink is also a web element, text is a web element. All these objects we talked about, all of them are known as web element. They fall under the category of web element. So when you fire the command driver.find element, it returns you the reference of web element, say web element username. Okay. Web element username equals to driver.find element by the ID email. Okay. Now you have hold on. In this web element interface, you have got functions like clear, click, or get location, get size, get tag name, get text, is displayed, is enabled. So these functions, they are actually they belong to every element. Like with a link, for example, what all can you do with the link? You can click on the link, you can get the text of the link, you can get the location of the link, right? You can check whether the link is displayed or not, right? So these are general functions which are applicable to all the web elements, right? So for example, if I have a username field, I can write username dot send keys Ashish. Right, now if I run this, send keys function will actually type in into the element. Okay, now if you observe carefully, I investigated the element on Mozilla and I am running my script on Chrome. On Chrome it has opened and it is printed Ashish. Okay, always remember that the IDs and all will not change if you change the browser. The idea of this element is email. It will remain same in all the browsers because the response from the server, it remains same for all the browsers until or unless the developer has written such a code that the website should display differently in Mozilla, differently in Firefox, differently in a Chrome browser. That's a different thing. Okay, but if in case it's not generic website, okay, it opens the same way in all the browsers. So if the element, the ID of the element, if you get it in one browser, you can use in the other browser as well. I use the ID in Gmail and I opened it in Chrome and my Chrome worked. Okay. Question is being asked is, what if the element doesn't have an ID? I'll come over to it. Okay, if the element has not got an ID, I use the criteria by dot ID over here. There are many other criteria as well. Okay, there are other criteria as well. Size is asking question, wanted to know if all this stuff is also covered in videos. Yes, this stuff is also covered in the videos. Okay, fine. In module 11, 12, 13, I have covered these things, right? Okay. Now out here, similarly, if I have to click on the sign in button, right? Now input ID is sign in, right? If I, the ID of the element, now this is a very good page. Every component has got an ID. Okay. So if I write over here web element sign in button equals to driver dot find element by the ID sign in. So this will find the sign in button, and in the end you write sign in button dot click. If you click on the sign in button, if you run this code, this will open up Chrome and it clicks on the sign in button. Right. Now same code if you run on Firefox. Okay. If you run the same code on Firefox, this will also right. Submit will submit the form. Okay. Yes, we need to import stuff, Sunzi. We need to, you see that it clicked on it. You need to import it. All of these are my imports. Okay, just move your mouse over there or hit Control Shift O of your keyboard. Everything will be imported. Right now, what if the element has gotten? If the element has got no ID, for example, I have to read this text from this website. Okay, if I look at this text in my Firebug, right, this is the text. Okay, and it's got no ID, nothing. How do I do that? Right. So, Vijay, I will come over to that. You really don't have to worry about it. Okay. Difference between submit. Look, the thing is, if you write over here, sign in button dot, you'll get a submit function as well. This submit function is for submitting the forms. Okay. If you have, this will also work here because the form is getting submitted, but generally we use place. Alright. So, yeah, I will send it across after the class. Now, where was I? Yeah, so I successfully clicked on it and all everything. Now, if the elements have got no ID, what will I do? For example, the text on this page or this text, anything on this page. Right? Generally, I take the Gmail example in the beginning because and everybody is familiar with the page, right? Or suppose I have to click on this link about Gmail. This is the link, anchor tag. It's got no ID, nothing. So to manage these kinds of objects, right? You use CSS selectors or XBar, right? Let's start with XBar. How do you use an XBar? Let's start with it, right? Suppose, right? Now, what is an XBar? XBar is like the address of the element. Okay. For example, I have to read this text, right? Okay. How will I find the XPath of this text? You move up, find the first tag in this complete documentation is the HTML tag. Fine. So the first tag is HTML. Okay. Inside the HTML tag, you have got head and body tag. You have to go inside the body tag and then find the elements. So inside the HTML tag, you have the body tag, right? And then inside the body tag, there are many other tags as well. So you keep on traversing them till the time you reach the tag which you are interested in. Okay, I'll tell you, the easier way to find XPath is to go to Google in Firefox and type, hold on, Firefox download. Firefox is a plugin which is actually on the top of Firebug. Fine, you already have Firebug in Mozilla. You have to install a plugin known as Firefox, which gets installed on the top of Firebug. Fine, and you just click on the first link over here. And click on add to Firefox. Fine. When you click on add to Firefox, it downloads it and you can simply click on install now. Restart your Mozilla and you will have Firefox out here. A tab opened up known as Firefox. Okay. Now, if in case suppose I go to Gmail and if I move my mouse over this text, out here I get the XPath. Okay, this is the XPath, right? It starts with the HTML tag and goes till the para tag, right? The para tag in which, you see this para tag P, in which the element is lying. Fine. This kind of XPath is known as absolute or complete XPath. Fine. Apart from this, you have got another type of XPath known as partial XPath. Now this XPath is not good to use. If tomorrow your website changes, something changes in your website, okay, then you will be stuck because this XPath will change. Suppose another division, another div tag is added in between, then you have to go to your code and change the XPath everywhere. So we avoid using these types of XPath because if something changes in the page tomorrow, then these XPaths can give you a problem, right? Suppose another division comes up or the location of this text moves above this line. Google approach to email, tomorrow developer puts it above this line, then this XPath will change, right? This XPath is location dependent, right? It depends on the location of the element, right? In partial XPath, we don't have it like this. Suppose to find out the partial XPath, you click on this drop list over here in Firefox and uncheck the option generate of absolute XPath. You uncheck it. And now if I go to say the username field, this will be my partial XPath. That is /. You ignore the dot in the beginning. Please don't include this dot. Okay. So it starts with the /. After that, there is a star, and then @ID equals to email. Star means any tag. Out here basically you have to give the tag name. I can also write like this. There is the input tag because the tag name for the username field is input. Okay, an input tag with ID equals to email. This makes it more generic. Any one of them will do, right? So you make the expert like this. For example, if I go to any other website, for example, I go to kindsofindia.com. It's a news website on India, in India, and if I look at the XBar for the headlines, fine. This is the headlines, right? This is the XBar. It says that there is an element with the ID survey1. So if you look at the page source, see there is a division with the ID survey1. It is starting from this division and it keeps on going inside it. Inside it there is another division which is this one. Inside it there is another division which is this one, right? Inside it there is another division which is this one. Inside it is an h1 tag and then an anchor tag. This is an h1 tag and then an anchor tag. So this is how the partial XBar they are made. Okay, you don't start with the HTML tag. You start with the somewhere in between the page, right? So this, even if tomorrow the page changes, the chances are less that this type of XBar changes, right? So I'll talk about it. Fine. Okay. So if I have to use XBar here, fine. I'll make a new class known as Gmail. Okay. Create the object of Firefox driver. Right, and then Firefox driver dot get. Get function is there in the WebDriver interface. Since Firefox driver is implementing the WebDriver interface, it's also there in it. Okay, and the URL http gmail.com. Fine. Then you write Firefox driver dot find element by the XBar. Okay, and give the XBar of the email field. Any one of these two XBars will do. I prefer the second type of XBar because it makes it more accurate. Out here I am telling any tag with the ID email on the first option. In the second option I am telling an input tag with the ID email. Right. So if I do this and in the end if I write dot send key hello, this will go and type in hello inside the text field and you see that, right? So this is how you work with experts. Now I never wrote like this the way I wrote out here in Selenium Basics, that is yeah, this is the one. I wrote over here that WebDriver sign in button equals to driver.find element by the ID sign in, and then I wrote click. I can also write it in one go. I can write this line and in the end I can write dot click. Okay, so I can write the complete thing in one line. Right, there is no need of writing it in two lines. I can also write the complete. The execution starts from the left hand side to the right hand side. First, this part is evaluated, the web element is evaluated, and then it is clicked on. So similarly, I have written over here as well Firefox.find element by the criteria of XBar dot send keys hello. Right. Now this find element is there in Firefox driver, Chrome driver, IE driver, Android driver. In all the drivers, this Firefox driver this find element will be present because this find element is coming from the WebDriver interface, right? All hold on. All my classes, right? All my classes, Android and all everything, they implement this interface. So all these classes have these functions, right? Suppose if I have to get the title of the page, you just have to call get title function, whether it is Mozilla, IE or any other browser, right? And hold on, right? Now, yes, yesterday people were asking me what is the difference in RC and WebDriver. Okay, now I should answer that right now. So if you go to the old framework, which was Selenium RC, and you get the Java docs for Selenium RC. What is Java docs? The technical documentation, right? If you look at the Java doc for RC, then these were the classes in Selenium RC. Okay, hardly there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. If you look at the WebDriver API, then these are the classes and interfaces in WebDriver API. So just by looking at number of classes and interfaces, you can see the difference. Okay, in Selenium RC, there used to be just one interface known as Selenium. Selenium was an interface in Selenium RC, and there used to be a class known as default Selenium implementing it. So nothing was specific for different browsers like we have it in WebDriver. We have got a driver class, a different driver class for every browser. Okay, in Selenium RC, this was not the case, right? Moreover, there used to be a server in Selenium RC which you had to start, and that server used to give a lot of problems in starting. Okay, so yesterday I told you that I cannot answer the question right now. So today I think I'm in the right position, right? So just a minute. Okay, right? So now 1 minute. This is good practice. When your script ends, you should always write the line driver.quit or Firefox.quit. Otherwise, what happens is that sometimes the process keeps on running in the background. So this will close the browser instance, as well as it will close the browser also. Okay, right? Now let's move further. Right? Before I move